way too long. I apologize. I apologize all the time whenever there's a massive break in doing a podcast, and this has been a massive break. I think, what is it, February, the last time we did one of these, so I apologize profusely. It is another fishing podcast, number 59, nearly to 60. One day we're going to get 100. We're going to absolutely get there to 100, but happy July 14th. Is it midsummer? When is midsummer? Goodness gracious, I don't even know how we got to this point. This year is just absolutely flying by, and it kind of disturbs me. The older I get, the faster time flies. I don't like it. But let me tell you what's happening, okay, in this podcast today, because it's truly, truly exciting. I've had a stupid busy spring and summer, as I was saying, as far as just time is flying by. I don't even know what happened to this year. One of the things I did though this year that is I'm wearing glasses now. It makes it easier to do this podcast and for me to be able to see right here on the screen in front of me what the heck we're doing. But I feel more sophisticated when I do this, which is kind of cool because I'm not sophisticated at all, I feel like. But anyway, I filmed a hero of mine this year. I'm going to talk about it. I just a few weeks ago, really, really cool. My boat has finally started the process of getting tricked out, so we're going to talk about that. Don't fish in a thunderstorm. Please, for the love of God, don't fish in a thunderstorm. Great tips coming up from Jason Mitchell and Sam Sobi. And big, beautiful new baits. ICAST is this week. Let's get this podcast started.
This isn't another fishing podcast. This is another fishing podcast.
So yeah, I've had a very busy spring and start of the summer here. Like I said, the older you get, I don't know what it is, but everything just kind of becomes more of a blur. A day goes by super quick. Like even doing this podcast, I started researching for this podcast like 9 a.m. And now it's it's super late. I wasn't planning on, this being this late to get this podcast out, but here we are. There's not enough time to do anything. Like an hour, I remember in school, an hour would take forever. I'd be watching the clock, a boring class. An hour was an eternity. Now there's not enough time to do anything, it feels like, in an hour. So it's odd. It's weird. It's almost like I feel like we're living in a simulation, and whoever created the simulation you get older, is just trying to get you out of the simulation, just trying to kick you out. It's like, move along now. Your time is over. That's what it feels like. So it's bizarre. If you're young, and young is relative, but I'm saying if you're a teenager, early 20s, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You think you have your whole life in front of you. In many ways you do. But as you get older, you get into your mid-30s, late 30s, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. If you're lucky to get there. I take every day as just I'm grateful for it. I don't take anything for granted anymore. Look at all this wise grays here. You see all the grays in my beards? This is wisdom I'm imparting to you right now, okay, all you young people out there. So remember, it's just, my grandpa, I remember I interviewed him when he was 90 years old, and he told me many times, he said, time goes by so quick as you get older, and he was absolutely 100% right about that. It's bizarre. But where the heck was I? Okay, so if I digress, this is what I do. I digress, I go on tangents, I forget where I was. We're all having fun here, okay? So it was a great spring, great summer. And I'm just going to give you a little sampling of what I've been up to. And then we're going to get into just the world of fishing, what's happening in the world of fishing. So just a little sampling here. I have been on a number of really cool shoots, National Walleye Tour. Let me bring this up. If you're watching the podcast, either on Rumble or on Facebook, or if you're watching it on... you can watch it on YouTube, of course. So I'm bringing up some stuff. Hopefully you're listening too. So I'll try to make this like a multimedia experience. You can listen, you can watch. I'll try to be cognizant of how everybody is consuming the Another Fishing Podcast content here. So the National Walleye Tour event, look at how sexy I'm looking here. This is rain gear, actually, that I actually was gifted. Skeet Reese gifted me this rain gear here, and it's so nice. It's Grunton rain gear, but this is a shot that was taken by Robert Cardenas, I believe, was the photographer, National Walleye Tour photographer, does great work, also a great videographer. He shot this of me while I was fishing, or actually while I was filming one of the anglers. I wish I was fishing. In April, so I was doing National Walleye Tour stuff, and then I was also filming the Bass Pro Tour Stage 4 in May here, filming a early morning interview with Lurch and Justin Lucas. So, yeah, it's just I love my job. There's that rain gear again, by the way, too. And yeah, just really enjoy my job, and I feel privileged to be out there doing this, filming and just kind of doing stuff, being out on the water, being outside. As you can probably tell if you're watching the video podcast, I have a nice tan going. I'm debating now. I'll show you some more stuff here in a second, but I'm debating whether to wear sunscreen anymore. I'm hearing conflicting things. I've actually been pretty sunscreen free this year. What's nice about my job is I start pretty early down in the South, beginning of the year, and the tour, we start like Alabama, in February around that time, and I'm not wearing any sunscreen. I'm just letting the sun just absorb into my skin. Everybody thinks, that the sun is so bad for you. And I'm beginning to think the opposite anymore. I think vitamin D is super important. I think you need vitamin D. It's amazing for your immune system. And I think the best way to get vitamin D is through the sun. And I think a lot of people aren't getting vitamin D. So I think a lot of people are sick because of it. They get sicker. I haven't been sick in so long. And I'm beginning to think it's because I'm outside so much and I'm not blocking the sun from getting on my skin. And I look at my skin, I'm like a plant. I think humans are more like plants than we realize. And so I think we need to be out in the sun. I'm not saying like if you're a fair-skinned person, you got red hair, maybe you shouldn't be out, baking in the sun. Probably not, burning. That's not good. But I don't really burn anymore, right? And I think being out in the sun, like I said, I think we're like plants. I think we're supposed to be out in the sun. I think it's ridiculous. Like, how did humans exist? So modern humans are between 200 and 300,000 years old. We've been here. Modern Homo sapiens have been on the planet between 200 and 300,000 years. Okay? What? We've had to cover up our skin? Like, what did we do before sunscreen? It's hard for me to believe that the sun is as dangerous as everybody's saying. I think there's some monetary rewards, some profit motives there, with dermatology and selling sunscreen and yada, yada, yada. Okay. I'm so skeptical about everything anymore. And I don't know. Maybe I'll be eating my words in a few years, but my gut is telling me that being outside, being out in the sun, absorbing the sun, we get life, okay, from the sun. The sun is good for us, okay? It's hard for me to believe that we're supposed to be just covering up all the time, okay, when we're outside. It's very, very hard for me to believe that. I think we're being duped. But anyway, let me get off my soapbox. Feel free to disagree. I understand, but I'm moving on. Okay. So what else did I do this spring? Okay, we did a BFL All-American in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and very cool shoot. Had a great time. Was with the winner there. I should remember his name. God, I apologize. The problem is, I should know. He's a great young man, a very accomplished angler. I work with a number of people, and I'm terrible with names anyway. So I apologize for that, young. He was great to work with, and we are going to see more of him. If I really think hard, I'll remember it. But we got to worry about time here. We don't want to have this podcast lasting 4, 5, 6 hours like a Joe Rogan podcast. So we're going to keep moving on. But that was on Lake Hamilton. I do not believe, just a little lake. I do not believe I've been on Lake Hamilton before. And I'm pretty sure it was in Hot Springs. Never been to Hot Springs before. Hot Springs was a really interesting town. It's there's a lot of history there in Hot Springs, but it's one of those towns where it kind of feels like its heyday was in, like the early 1900s. Doesn't seem to be in its heyday so much anymore, but I still enjoy the town, enjoy the area. It's a beautiful area. So, all right, what are we doing now? So, what has been happening? I'm going through kind of the personal stuff that's been happening in my life. And where I live in central Minnesota, it has been raining cats and dogs. I'm fortunate to live on a little lake called Shady Lake, okay? Just a little lake. And we have just been inundated with rain. One night we got over 3 inches of rain in just like an hour or two. And the lake came up crazy. I know this is going to sound like first world problems here. Okay, and I have a pontoon. Okay, I have a pontoon. I have a fishing boat, so I'm very lucky. I don't have any children, so I don't have to worry about college or anything for them or spending money on them. So I buy boats and stuff. So I have a pontoon, and this was the situation here. Watching the video podcast, it is me in waders, having to raise my dock up. The planks on top of our dock were floating off the dock. So I got back from a shoot, and what a situation we had there. We actually had our pontoon was like floating onto the dock. So it was a mess, an absolute mess. I don't know if you can hear that. That's so annoying. I got a text on my phone that comes on the computer, and it sounds like you guys might be able to hear that. And if you do hear it on this broadcast, I apologize for that. So if you hear this ding, that's someone texting me. So I do apologize. So anyway, ton of rain. I had to raise the dock up. And here I am in waders. Those are actually my wife's waders, raising the dock up on the little lake that I live on. So just crazy amount of rain. But I'm glad, because what's great is when you have a lot of rain, I love fishing the Mississippi River. I love fishing just rivers, period. I love fishing anywhere, to be honest. But fishing the Mississippi River for smallmouth bass, when you have high water, they're really easy. They're much easier to find. You look for current breaks. Current breaks are going to just pinpoint. They're going to be right behind current breaks. And when there's high water, there's current breaks all over the place. They get closer to the bank. And then if we continue this high water deal into the fall, into the colder water months, it is like stealing candy from a baby, because these smallmouth, basically, they get really easily positioned, highly predictable in the slackest water. So all you got to do, you got high water, you got rushing water, all you got to do is find slack water, and they're going to be there. So I'm really hoping that this wet weather pattern remains into the fall, so we can have higher water levels, and then colder. And it can be so good. They pack on. They get fat, really, because they don't want to. It's colder water. They don't want to be fighting current, so they look for not a lot of current, and they get heavier. And it's just it's a great time to be smallmouth bass fishing, I gotta tell you. So keep Mother Nature. Please continue with the wet weather pattern. It's absolutely fantastic. So. So where are we at now? Okay, so the big news right now, I got to tell you, is that I've got let me just bring this picture up. So Spraungel Performance Marine. I've been busy, like I've said. Hold on, let me get, my mouth is getting dry. Let me drink from my crappie cup here. Okay, so As I've said, my spring and summer has been, honestly, my spring and summer has been much busier than I thought it was going to be, okay? Thankful. I'm so thankful for all my clients. They're fantastic. I feel very lucky to work for the people that I work for, and they've given me a lot of work. And I wasn't expecting to get this amount of work this spring and into summer. And so I'm like, you know what? I got this boat that has just had stock stuff on it, right? I mean, I upgraded. I went to a 200, so I have a Tracker Targa V18 walk-through deep V boat. It is like the quintessential northern boat, okay? If you live in Minnesota, you're obligated to have a boat like this. So I am now, I was born here. I am Minnesotan, but I am like really, really Minnesotan now. So anyway, when I bought the boat, I did boost the motor up. It comes standard with like a 150. I'm like, let's max this thing out to a 200, right? So we got a 200, costs a heck of a lot more. Expensive, new boat, okay, but this is the fall of 2000. Believe it or not, during COVID, things were actually surprisingly good at the end of that year. And so I went and I bought this boat, right? But I have not been able to upgrade. It's come with the stock trolling motor, like this Minn Kota power drive, very basic trolling motor, and then just a very basic Lowrance 9-inch, fish finder at the console. So this spring, actually during one of these tournaments, I started, when I got off the water, I started just, figuring things out. Like, okay, I'm gonna pull the trigger, and I'm gonna upgrade some electronics on this boat. I'm gonna do some things here, and I decided to go on Facebook on Fishing Minnesota, a Facebook group that's fantastic. A lot of people on there. It's a very active Facebook group. And I asked people on there, who would you recommend rig your boat? Like, who's the best boat rigger in Minnesota? Because I'm anal. I want things to be perfect. I don't know how to do anything myself, of course. I'm totally clueless. I am not a do-it-yourself dude. But I just, I want this thing to be done right, and I want people that have done it a lot, are fishermen themselves, are perfectionistic. And so I kind of put that all in this post on Facebook. Hey, I'm looking for someone that knows their stuff here in Minnesota that can rig my boat. And it was like a battle between Fish Electronics and Spraungel Performance Marine, okay? And they're both kind of in the same area. Spraungel Performance Marine is in Anoka, Minnesota. I think Fish Electronics is sort of close, maybe in Ramsey. I want to say Ramsey, maybe. Is that right? Maybe it's Ramsey. Somewhere, they're close. They're near each other. And so I started tallying, like, who people, like, what, the comments, like, how many people are recommending Spraungel Performance Marine? How many people are recommending Fish Electronics? And drum roll, please, Spraungel Performance Marine won. And so I went with Spraungel Performance Marine, and I got to tell you, I've been very happy. I took it there. I told them what I wanted. I'm like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, this is Spraungel Performance Marine I'm bringing up right here. Okay, I have a drone now too. I have a new drone. This is a drone shot from this new drone. I'm very tickled with this thing. But anyway, so Spraungel Performance Marine, Taylor Spraungel is the owner. He's a fantastic dude. We talked about like what I need out of this boat. I told him many times, I'm like, I need this thing to be a Swiss Army knife of boats. I'm a multi-species angler. I love fishing for everything. So we need to, that needs to be a top consideration when we're rigging this thing. And so I told him, I'm like, all right, what we're going to do, we are going to put a Minn Kota Ultrex Quest at the bow of this thing, 60-inch shaft, because that's what you need for a deep V boat. And we're gonna make this a 36-volt system, so we're gonna have 3 batteries in the boat now. So he added a battery. I already had 2 just lead acid batteries. So now we have 3 in there. It's a 36 volt system. It is going to be a river fishing machine holding in current on anchor mode. Hello. And so I'm super excited. So he's like, okay, I get that. We'll order you up a Minn Kota Ultrex Quest. You'll be all set there. And what's so nice about Spraungel Performance Marine, what they do, they order all the stuff for you. Okay, so I'm like, okay, let's get that Quest on the bow. And then I'm like, all right, I am going to go with these new, I've heard good things. I've been reading a lot of stuff and watching a lot of videos about the new Humminbird Explorer 12 unit and Unix. Well, they're kind of the same thing, but kind of different too, but let's not get into that. So these Explorer 12 units, all right, are, they're wonderful. I'll get into more of that later, but I'm like, okay, let's do this, Taylor. Put an Explorer 12 at the bow and an Explorer 12 at the console, but just basically do it so that if I want to add, mount it in a way that if I want to add another unit up at the bow and another unit at the console, I can do it. So he did that. He's like, okay, we'll take that in consideration. We'll mount it so it's kind of future proof, right? So so I'm like, okay. So I thought a lot about it. I'm like, all right, this is the era of forward-facing sonar. I am a Johnson Outdoors guy. So Johnson Outdoors is the parent company, the umbrella company that is over Minn Kota, Humminbird, Canon, what do they call it? Downriggers. I think there's a number of other brands, some kayak brands in there, I'm pretty sure. So they have this one boat network where all the electronics talk to each other. So I just want that to be the case, right? I don't want to have a Garmin on there and then a Lowrance this and then there's so many different, what am I trying to say? Like a power pole this or blah, blah. I want everything to be talking to each other and basically have controls through that depth finder, through that fish finder. I can control everything. I just want everything to be as seamless as possible. So we went with Minn Kota and Humminbird, and I decided to go with forward-facing sonar. It's the forward-facing sonar era, and I'm like, let's just do this, man. Like it's been a good spring. It's been a good start of the summer. I'm pulling the trigger. You only live once. Live dangerously. It's not dangerous. There's no risk of life here. I'm just gonna do it. And worst comes to worst, if I can't pay all this stuff off in time, I'll just sell the boat, right? So I have until April to pay these new gizmos that I've put on. Before they charge me interest on this credit card that I put all this stuff on. So the goal is to pay all of this off by April of 2026. So I got forward-facing sonar. I got the Mega Live 2 on there now. So we got the Explorer 12 at the bow. We have the Explorer 12 at the console. We have the, let me just show you this boat. Okay. So yeah, it's awesome. We got a pole. We have a Bruce City forward-facing sonar pole that will you can just point that thing anywhere. You can point that Mega Live 2 anywhere. It sounds like I've watched a lot of videos talking about how the Mega Live 2 is so much better than Mega Live the first generation. So I'm confident that I've made the right decision here. I'm for sure confident that I made the right decision going with Spraungel Performance Marine. This thing is truly decked out. It's awesome. I did a video, okay? It's going to be coming up next Friday that shows you everything that Taylor and his crew, he's got a fantastic crew, everything they did to this boat. And I just finally feel like this boat is damn near where it needs to be. I think really the only thing that I would need to do to this in the future is really just to have, and this is going maybe a little, anymore it's not too crazy. Most people are, I shouldn't say most people, that is not true at all. Okay, but a lot of people have got two graphs at the console, two graphs at the bow. I think eventually I want to get there, but having a bigger, like 12-inch screen, there is enough of the screen size is large enough where you can really, have a good idea what's going on with multiple panes active, your side imaging. And the thing is that there's just so much stuff that these, that you can do now with side imaging, your 2D sonar, of course, but then your side imaging. Now your live image, your forward-facing sonar image, the mapping. So I certainly having another graph is a luxury, but it is one of those luxuries that is super nice to have, like just one graph that's dedicated to mapping, and then another graph like dedicated to just like sonar, right? So I see that it being a big deal. I think eventually I want to get there. First, but that's down the line. I need to pay all this stuff off first. But I'm just so tickled with what they did, with what Taylor and his crew did here. It looks absolutely fantastic. And I've done a video. It's already edited, and you guys will see it Friday. But we'll talk more about that here shortly. So it's been an exciting. I don't know. It's been a very exciting spring into summer, doing a lot of work, doing a lot of cool work. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. I wasn't expecting to, okay. So speaking of which, speaking of cool work, I've just, I cannot fail to mention this because it's a really big deal with all the work that I've done. I think probably the most memorable work this spring has been, so I've always loved in-fishermen, right? I think you've probably heard me talk if you watched or listened to this podcast before. I grew up on in-fishermen, okay? In-fishermen television, in-fishermen magazine, even in-fishermen radio, their whole media empire. And it being based in Minnesota, and I'm a native of Minnesota, there was a lot of pride there that this was something that was coming from Minnesotans. It was from my home state. They're fishing for fish that I love to fish for. And I would consume all of their content. I love their TV show. I learned actually how to film the same way that they, that they filmed their TV segments. The guy that kind of taught me how to film used in-fishermen as kind of the blueprint, I'm going off on another tangent here, but basically I started at Bass Pro Shops Video Productions, and my boss there, we had a show called Outdoor World, and my boss, he liked the way that in-fishermen filmed, and so that's how we filmed. Everybody in that department, that's how we all filmed. So it's really like kind of surreal that now I did a lot of work for, I shouldn't say a lot of work, but I did a few shoots last fall with in-fishermen, and now I've done 2 shoots so far this year for in-fishermen. I did an Iowa muskie shoot that was really good and surprising. Like, wow, who would ever think that there's this great of muskie fishing in Iowa? But there was. But for me, like, to be able, so Doug Stange is a guy that I used to read a ton of when I was a kid. I believe he's the editor-in-chief now of In-Fisherman, and he's been that, I say now, I think he's been the editor-in-chief for a long time at In-Fisherman. But he's a fantastic writer, and I just love, when I was a kid, I just loved reading his articles. He'd make you feel like you were there. It was very personable. He was just a fantastic writer. And I was able to work with him recently at doing a shoot for In-Fisherman. We're believe it or not, going for yellow bass. So what's great about Doug is he has just such a a fondness for everything fishing and everything fish. Like, he just loves fish. He loves the culture. He loves the characters. And in his writing, you know, when I was younger, when I was just consuming In-Fisherman all the time, I really just picked up on that. And so I did a shoot with him, like, you know, in June. I guess it was the end of June. No, middle of June. And it was just, it was surreal. It was fantastic. And at the end of the shoot, you know, and I'm using my own equipment. I'm like, everything's just come full circle here, you know, like I was raised on In-Fisherman, and now I'm using my own equipment. I got my camera that I love. I'm so comfortable with my own equipment, and I'm filming. I'm looking through a viewfinder with Doug Stange, you know, and I'm making the thing that I used to watch when I was a kid. And so it was amazing. So we were down in southern Minnesota filming that yellow bass segment, and I told him at the end of the shoot, you know, as I've gotten older, I try to tell people how I feel about them. I've always kind of done that, but it's super important. As you get older, you try not to take life for granted, you know? And so, even more. And so I was just like, I told Doug, I told him that he's my favorite outdoor writer, and I told him how much that his writing and just everything he did, you know, growing up, how much it meant to me. And also my partner in crime, another fishing podcast co-host who can't be here right now because I didn't ask him, but it's a terrible time to Pete is busy running a grocery store. So, but Pete Wagner, another fishing podcast, another fishing show co-host, you know, Doug had just a profound impact on both of us. So I told him that before I left when the shoot was over, and I told him, you know, how important he was to us, and he really appreciated that, and he said it made his day. So I just thought I'd share that with you. These are the things I feel very lucky that I have something, you know, I'm so passionate about fishing. I have something that just charges me up, and to be able to work with people that you looked up to and still look up to, I don't take it for granted whatsoever. All right, so I think that's covered everything, kind of like what's happened in my personal life here. I think I'm looking at my notes here. I love taking notes. Yeah, so I think it's time to move on to what is happening in the world of fishing. So, number one, don't fish in a thunderstorm, okay? So this is from the great folks, Brett McComas at Target Walleye. By the way, that's the other thing. I met Brett McComas. I had to shoot Mille Lacs. Actually, it was like Mille Lacs and then up around Brainerd. Boy, I am losing my voice right now. Goodness gracious. So anyway, I had to shoot for Pure Fishing, right? I love Pure Fishing. I love Berkley. Berkley's like one of my favorite companies in fishing. And again, Pure Fishing is like the umbrella brand over all these other brands. So I did a shoot for them. Did a little bit of hand modeling and stuff for new lures that are coming out, which are fantastic. I love new lures, especially Berkley stuff. So I got to see some new stuff. I got to kind of do a little bit of like talent modeling stuff, you know. But I was primarily up there for them to like basically use my boat as a second camera boat. They needed a second camera boat to film from. And so went up there and got to meet a lot of great folks. Super awesome. Had a great time. And got to meet Brett McComas at Target Walleye. So we done a podcast together, but to be actually able to meet him in person was super cool. So I get a lot of this information to do this podcast from Target Walleye. And so much appreciated, Brett, for everything you do with that newsletter, the email newsletter. If you haven't subscribed to the email newsletter, you need to. Target Walleye. Lots of information that Brett compiles together. And I kind of just, I I go on Instagram. I'm kind of trying to see what's happening in the fishing world. I'm reading, in fisherman magazines and stuff like that, just trying to get a gauge on what's happening in the fishing world. Number one, just to do this podcast, but also for me to keep abreast of everything that's happening and maybe help my own fishing. I try not to say abreast very often. Some people will find that offensive, so I apologize. But I got to meet Brett, and super nice guy. The whole shoot was it's a wonderful time of year up here. Just beautiful bodies of water. I mean, I'm just pinching myself. I'm like, I'm getting paid for this? Awesome, thank you. All right, so let's get into it here. Don't fish in a thunderstorm. Again, this is from Target Walleye. And I one of the things that most frightens me, okay, I'm not afraid to say what frightens me, it is thunderstorms. I film outside a lot, and it is a concern of mine. So don't do it. Check this out. First of all, watch this video.
So we're out here catching crappie, me and Jordan. Look at this. There's so much statics in the air.
It's starting to hurt.
Yeah, that's not good. So this is an Instagram video from Boise Bassin, okay? That's his Instagram handle, Boise Bassin. And it's guys out fishing, and their rods are essentially they're getting shocked by the rods. You can hear it, and you can see the spark.
So we're out here catching crappie, me and Jordan. Look at this. There's so much statics in the air.
It's starting to hurt.
Yeah, imagine that. You're about to get lit up, y'all. What is going on here? That is not smart. Don't. Oh, a thunderhead's gonna discharge on your head. Please, for the love of all that's holy, don't do that. All right, let's look at the comments here. This is Boise Bass, and this is the guy that did that video. This has got to be the craziest thing that ever happened to me while fishing. Only lasted about 10 minutes, but the fish were biting the whole time, so we had to stay. No, it's not worth it, dude. You are going to get lit up. People, as you'll see in a second, people get lit up. And some people are lucky to survive. Many of them are not. I've heard many stories. I had a boss whose wife was killed by lightning. I know a professional fisherman who saw a guy struck by lightning while he was fishing, and that guy died. You guys got to take it seriously. So here are some of the comments on that Instagram, which is... This is Nick White Insta. It says, "This is God telling you last cast was the one you just did." That's right. Dude, those guys got lucky, okay? Tilted Grin says, "Be sure to say hi to Ben Franklin when you meet him." Very good, yes. Karma 33, KRMA 33, "When you're holding two lightning rods and don't realize it." Yeah, that's good. That's good. And last comment here. "Owls and octopodes, the Zeus equivalent of a laser sight on your chest." Yeah, basically. Hey guys, don't stay out in the thunderstorm, please. Don't get to somewhere safe, sheltered. Don't do it. It's not. I love fish, man. Fish are worth taking a lot of risks for. That's not one of them. All right, so what else is going on here? Consulting my notes. Okay, so yeah, speaking of not fishing in a thunderstorm. Okay, so this happened. This is from Target Walleye. "Fishing rod lightning strike. It is insanely scary to think that someone was holding this rod at the time." So here is a rod that got absolutely lit up. Okay, someone was holding this rod, and this rod got lit up by a lightning strike. And it's just the whole, I guess, half of the rod to the rod tip just looks like a witch's witch's hair. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like wispy, just nothing. It doesn't look like it was a rod at all. Just absolutely crazy. So yeah, And Brett McComa says, that pic is from Dalton Ray's Facebook post. There he said, as many of you know, my girlfriend Marissa Maddox and I were fishing a tournament Wednesday, and she was struck by lightning. It instantly knocked us both to the deck of the boat. She could not feel her lower half, and her clothes were torn down her side and melted to her leg. She was rushed to the hospital, and she suffered some pretty severe burns down her leg. After 3 days in the hospital and tons of tests and scans, she is doing very well now. She got what she call lucky. Very, very lucky. And here's some pictures. Here's her, I guess that's her leg. Bad looking, like burns there. You can kind of see like sort of the imprint of the bolt, I guess. And then there's some pictures of his boat just like melted, or her boat. I guess it's his boat. Just like the batteries melted, the back storage where the batteries and everything are just just destroyed. I would say they got very, very lucky. Just want to let anyone know that it's not worth it whether you're just out on the boat hanging out or fishing a tournament, no matter how much money is on the line. If the weather is getting bad, go back to shore. Things could have turned out completely different. Thanking the Lord, he was watching over both of us. She's ready to get back out on the water and get into some more tournaments. But please, yeah, whatever you do. So, I mean, that's the thing that with my job is the people that know me know that I harp about it a lot, and just like you can't take weather seriously enough. Like it, especially this time. This is the time of the year, really all year, but this time especially when you have thunderstorms developing. They often develop, in the afternoon, around that 3 p.m. time period, these big thunderheads. And these storms, like I said earlier, we are in a really wet weather pattern this year. And these storms can get crazy. They can absolutely get crazy. They can dump a ton of rain. They can drop big hail on you. You can have big tornadoes. These are the strongest storms on the planet. You have to take this stuff seriously. And I just get a sense sometimes that not enough people take it seriously. Like maybe it's just we all feel like we're immune and that can't happen to us. But I've seen years ago, I was driving from Springfield, Missouri to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I was traveling west, and it was kind of the morning or later morning, I guess. And I remember listening to the radio, and they're talking about how this was a day that was shaping up to be really potentially severe for weather, right? Big thunderstorms developing. This was in April, I believe. That is a terrible time of year. That's it for Tornado Alley down there, right? And so I'm driving through, and then it's like, I guess it was the afternoon. I'm driving, I pass into Oklahoma. I get to Tulsa. I remember looking back to the east and seeing the biggest thunderhead I've ever seen in my life. The thing was so massive. And here's the key. It was high. The height of it was going way, reaching very high into the atmosphere. Many thousands of feet, 30,000 plus feet into the air. It was the highest, biggest thunderhead I've ever seen in my life. And I remember just being in awe of it. Well, what was happening at that time was that tornado, or that thunderstorm, was spitting out a tornado that was one of the most deadly tornadoes in American history, the Joplin tornado. And it was terrible. It was just, it leveled that town. And I remember driving back through that town. I stayed over at a friend's house that night, and I had to catch a plane the next day. I drove back through Joplin, and it was just, I tried to get into town just to kind of see. That was a real jerk move. I didn't get very far. I turned around. I was like, there's all kinds of first responders. I need to get out of here. So I got back on the road, headed to Springfield, Missouri. But one of the things that just stood out to me that I'll never forget, and this is one of the reasons why I take weather so seriously, is that the whole ride or drive back, maybe not the whole ride or drive back to Springfield, but it was a long time. I was behind a mobile morgue unit. Okay. So it's weather, especially in the summertime, is not to be messed around with. A fish is not worth it. Please take, thunderstorm seriously. You don't know what that thing has got. You see it on the radar, it's coming for you. Just don't think you can ride it out. You don't have any clue what that thing could turn into, before it gets to you. You don't even know as it's coming. It might already be terrible, but it can even build right on top of you and just turn into something very deadly. So just I hate to be like, I'm a father figure here. You got to be careful out there, but I do really, it's one of these things that I really do take very seriously. And I just wish more people would. And so be careful this summer, please. Don't get struck by lightning. All right, so moving on here. What do I want to talk about? Okay, so got some videos here I want to show you. Now, this is something that I don't think I've really thought of before as far as, shade is important. Okay, so in the summertime, recreation, especially in Minnesota and these northern states, where it's so cold most of the year, that the summer, it's like, man, it is time to party. We're going out. All the boats come out. Everybody's jet skiing and water skiing, and it can get a little crazy, right? So you got that to contend with in the summer, but also it's hot, midday. How are you supposed to catch some fish, right? One of the things that I've always, of course, thought about, I love docks, because docks, especially for bass fishing, docks provide such great horizontal cover and shade. But one thing that I've never really considered is how vegetation can provide shade. So the man, Jason Mitchell, who I have had the pleasure of working with several times, he's been on this podcast. He's got a great tip here, and this is from Target Walleye. I found this. So thank you, Brett the Man McComas. Great tip here on fishing shade in the summer, but also just dealing with all the recreational nonsense.
Recreational lakes can be tricky to fish, and you see here it's just starting to rain a little bit, which I think it's going to blow over fast. So I don't even know if I'm going to bother putting rain gear on, but a couple hours ago there was jet skis all over, pontoons all over, and for a lot of people, this is what you got to fish, and maybe the fishing isn't as good as some other places, but it can be good enough. And if there's a couple of tricks for fishing recreational lakes, is first of all, you have to get the jet skis and all the pleasure boats out of your head. I don't think it matters to the fish. I think the fish get used to this. And so if jet skis are driving around, if boats are driving around, I don't think you have to really worry about it spooking the fish. I think these fish get acclimated to whatever's going on above them. But with that being said, a lot of these lakes can be really clear lakes, and if there's one tip, especially for this time of year, it's a little after the 4th of July, but from here on out, until the kids go back to school, fish the shade during the day. And so a lot of times, you look at your north-facing structures, your deep weed lines. My favorite types of locations are basically a wall of weeds, where either you have short weeds on a sharp break, or you've got really tall weeds where they just cast that shadow. And a lot of times when that sun's high in the middle of the summertime, when it's hot out, it can be flat, those fish will tuck into the shade. So it doesn't matter if you're targeting bass, if you're targeting walleyes, focus on that shade on those sunny days. And so, thing about this to remember too is, just look at the shadows in your boat while you're fishing just to see what side of the shade is on. But a lot of times that band is pretty narrow when that sun's high overhead. And so get tucked up tight to weed lines and get in that shade. And there's boats driving in a circle all day around you. You just have to tune that out. Don't worry about that. But that's just a couple of tips for catching fish on recreational lakes. Shade and ignore all the chaos.
Yeah, so that's a really great tip. Like, I can do a pretty good job of ignoring the chaos. I get it, man. Like, have you ever just gotten on a jet ski yourself? Like, I've cursed them so many times, but then I've gotten on a jet ski myself, and I've turned into that jerk out on the water that I've cursed at. I was just like, yeah, where's waves to, I've turned into that jerk that I'm a hypocrite, I realize, but anyway, so it's easy to tune, not easy, you need to tune that out. But as far as like shade from vegetation, I'm talking I'm talking about vertical vegetation, like weed lines and that, like a tree, thinking as like vertical vegetation like a tree and that providing shade. I've not really considered that before. So it's the little things in fishing that can make all the difference. And I just think that's a really great tip. Thank you, Jason Mitchell. That's from Jason Mitchell's YouTube. Check it out, Jason Mitchell Outdoors. All right, so it is, oh gosh, I love this. So I've worked with Sam Sobi before, and Sam's a great guy. It's so funny to think how long ago this is now. Like, where the hell is time going? So I work with Sam. Sam's now this like great social media influencer, I guess, right? That's what we're calling personalities, influencers. So, but he does a great job. YouTube, just all social media. I first met him as he was actually doing videography for one of the Guggen Squad guys, Alex Perrick. Okay, it was where I first met him, and we were doing a lake sturgeon piece on the St. Croix River. And that's where I first met Sam. Super great guy. And now he's just blowing up doing his own social media. I'm super happy for him. But I saw this tip. This is, again, I got this from Target Walleye. Do I sound like a broken record? And this is just a great tip for, if you have just, first of all, I don't know if this is just maybe a number of fish finders have this option. But this is for sure on the Humminbird Explorer 12, which I have, which I can say I have now. I'm really kind of gassy right now. I apologize. I'm burping a lot. It's probably because of this orange cream. I don't recommend. I have this orange cream Coca-Cola Zero. I will never buy this flavor again. It's like a flavor for the summer. It's not good. Don't buy it. Stay away from the orange cream Coca-Cola Zero, okay? But I am going to take another sip for some stupid reason. Okay, goodness gracious. Okay, so I've lost my train of thought. So what were we talking about here? So Sam Sobi. Okay, so I have an Explorer unit, okay? And so an Explorer 12. I feel really fond of myself now that I have a Humminbird Explorer 12. I feel like I'm a part of the cool kids now with the big graphs. So anyway, Sam Sobi does a tip here on side imaging and ranging your side imaging so you know exactly how far out, like on your mapping, you can see how far out you're going on the mapping. I don't know if other graphs you can do this, but you can do this on the Explorer units, the Humminbird Explorer units. Check this out. I absolutely love this. I learned about this from Target Walleye. But this is from Sam Sobi's Instagram.
If you want to immediately get better at graphing right now, there's one simple tool that maybe you know or maybe you don't know, but you got to check it out. So I'm doing a little side imaging right now. I'm just trying to hit this tiny little point next to this flat. And I want to know exactly where my side imaging is hitting. Right now, I have a general idea, but I don't know exactly. So on the Explorer unit, go to the little burger button, you go down to the settings, you go to vessel overlays right here. And this is the money tool, side imaging range. And I'll exit out. I'm reading 80 feet on my side imaging. If I crank it up over here, maybe I want to bounce it out to like 110.
See, 2 graphs.
You see how this thing is growing and shrinking?
That's nice.
Now I have a really good idea that if I just do one pass over this, I am hitting this whole little point. If I bounce out here and I want to hit this little hump, I know I can hit it from the side and still get the whole point. Side imaging range is a money tool. It's going to make you more efficient, and if you like to side image and find stuff offshore, you need to utilize it.
How awesome is that? We're going to watch it again because I love this so much. I'll kind of talk through this a little bit more now.
If you want to immediately get better at graphing right now, there's one simple tool that maybe you know or maybe you don't know, but you got to check it out. So I'm doing a little side imaging right now. I'm just trying to hit this tiny little point.
Okay, so he's got 2 graphs. Perfect example. You got one graph on the left.
Exactly
you're mapping.
where my
other graph side imaging. That's
right
really
now,
nice to
I
have
have a
2 graphs
general idea, but I don't know exactly. So on the Explorer unit, go to the little burger button. You go down to the settings. You go to vessel overlays right here. And this is the money tool, side imaging range. And I'll exit out. I'm reading 80 feet on my side.
See that? How we can
If I
tell
crank
how
it up
far
over
out
here, maybe I
he's
want to
going
bounce
over
it
that
out to
point?
like 110. You see how this thing is growing and shrinking?
How awesome is that?
Now I have a really good idea that if I just do one pass over this, I am hitting this whole little point. If I bounce
You know
out
how
here,
you're sweeping. You know how
I wanna
far
hit
out
this
you're
little hump,
sweeping.
I know I can hit it from the side and still get the whole point. Side imaging range is a money tool. It's going to make you more efficient, and if you like to side image and find stuff offshore, you need to utilize it.
So that's like the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that's on when I'm side imaging now. And now I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely need to have a second graph at the console for sure. Yeah, no doubt. I love that tip. It's such a great tip. It's just to know exactly how far are you out visually, like to see like, oh yeah, that's 80 feet. Okay, I'm covering that whole point or that whole island, underwater island, or, you know, submerged hump or hole, whatever you're fishing structure-wise, to know that, yeah, I've covered that whole thing with side imaging. It just gives you a reference. Great tip, Sam. All right, so now let's get into the new baits, okay? This is a great time of year. I love it. This is when, because of ICAST, the big fishing convention, and I think it's usually down in Florida, Orlando. Orlando's nuts. I'm not a huge fan of Orlando. Whenever I fly into Orlando, I'm like, oh my God, there's going to be nothing but kids on this flight just screaming and yelling. Everybody's growing nuts. But anyway, it's in Orlando, and they're basically, you know, that's where they, like all of the brands, they got all their new stuff coming out. And in fishing, you know, and so much of it is like lures, right? And so I love, if you're a fisherman, you love all that stuff. You love lures. I love lures. And so here are some of the new lures that are coming out that I just wanted to share with you. All right, check this thing out. This is called the Rapala ClapTail 110. It's a topwater bait with a metal prop and back blade that collide when retrieved, producing a unique two-tone fish-attracting sound. It's just things just like a whopper plopper, but it's metal instead. The plopper thing, the what do you call that? You know, the thing that makes a whopper plopper. It's metal on this, not plastic. And then it's got a blade, like looks like a Colorado blade right above that. Okay, that plopper is hitting. Durable body and balance, weight ensure long casts and steady retrieves, while built-in belly swivel reduces leverage to keep fish pinned. Also features a rotating hook hanger to prevent leverage by feisty fish. Bottom fin ensures lure remains stable. Armed with two number 3 VMC hybrid trebles and weighs 7/8 of an ounce, available in 8 colors. Just a great looking. I am going to be throwing that on Mississippi River. I love plopper style baits. You know, the original whopper plopper is a fantastic lure. And also just the Chapo, Berkeley Chapo is a great bait. So really excited about that coming out on the market. I mean, look at that thing. Anything Rapala is doing, like Rapala is such an amazing bait maker. Like there's just Rapala and that whole, like the VMC's just making just incredible stuff. Like as far as like terminal tackle, I love their stuff. And speaking of which, okay, this new VMC minnow shaker jig head is going to be released. And immediately I'm looking at this thing. Everything VMC is doing now, terminal tackle wise, is just perfection. And I think it's probably where I'm going to be going now, just with all like my hooks, and I'm just probably going to go like VMC, just like the Red Line series of hooks, and their stuff is so good. Like just everything terminal tackle VMC is so darn good. And the same goes with this new VMC minnow shaker jig head. This is for all those jig head minnow guys with, you know, they're using forward-facing sonar. It's designed for that, but it's just a great looking jig head. What kind of struck me with this is the plastic keeper on here. You have like, it looks like it's like, you know, higher, well, it's basically, it looks like leader material that's cut short that's in like four kind of strands, if you will, in opposite direction, that's going to hold, like glued to the shank of that hook, that's going to hold that plastic on and not let go. So I think they talk about that here in this little write-up. So guess you can expect folks like Wheeler and Continental. So I got this from, this is from Bass Blaster, Jay Kumar's Bass Blaster, another fantastic resource. You need to get on their email list, Bass Blaster. You need to check it out. Guess you can expect folks like Wheeler and Connell to be pinging the Crush City baits on this head now, along with their favorite VMC hybrid swim bait jig head, which now comes in an 1/8 ounce. The lightest had been 3/16. More on the minnow shaker. Purpose-built for soft plastic minnow baits like the Crush City Freeloader and Mooch Minnow, which Crush City stuff is so darn good. It's like crazy how everything is so dialed in with, Rapala and VMC now. So yeah, purpose-built for soft plastic minnow baits like the Crush City Freeloader and Mooch Minnow features a unique 45-degree line tie, the only jig head on the market with this angle, which maximizes the rolling action of the minnow. Now, I talked about those keepers, right? So dual mono, so it's monofilament keepers lock the bait in place and keep it there. That's like the most impressive kind of keeper system I think I've ever seen. Also has a long shank hook. So that is I'm super excited to use that. I do want to, try to get into that whole forward-facing sonar thing with largemouth, just bass in general. I do want to try to get, good at that. It's going to be a long process, but it's not like I don't hate forward-facing sonar. It's an amazing technology, and it shows you just so much about fish. It's an incredible tool. So I do want to get, I do want to get good at it. And so this, just to see all the new offerings for that style of fishing is exciting. And VMC is coming out with a lot of great stuff. The Shaker Minnow looks absolutely fantastic. Look at the line ties unique. I like the holographic eyes. That hooks looks super sharp. And the keeper system is awesome looking. So excited about that. Yeah, so that is what's happening in the world of fishing as I see it, as I know it, as I could possibly condense down, as much as possible in the short amount of time that I had to actually research and put this podcast together. We don't want this podcast to go, 5 hours. So let's keep it around, an hour, okay? This is episode 59. Episode 59 is going to be around an hour. Okay, I like that. So yeah, so what is happening in the Angling Uploaded world? That's we've been talking about umbrellas and parent companies. Well, Angling Uploaded is kind of the parent company, if you will, of Another Fishing Podcast. So Angling Uploaded, that's the YouTube. You want to check out anything that I'm doing on YouTube, go to Angling Uploaded. On Facebook, Angling Uploaded. On Instagram, Angling Uploaded. And if you want to check out the podcast, let's say you're just watching this right now and you just want to listen to it, you want to go to just check out any of the podcasting apps, just Another Fishing Podcast. That's all you got to do is search Another Fishing Podcast. You'll find us. Another Fishing Podcast is also on all of the Angling Uploaded social media too. So we're putting it up there, but you can listen to it. Another Fishing Podcast. Just search any of the any podcasting apps and you'll find it. Okay. But so what's going on this week? Okay, on Friday I am going to be uploading the video of my boat tricked out. You're going to see what has been done to it. The Tracker Targa V18 walkthrough. Deep V boat of mine, Taylor Spraungel at Spraungel Performance Marine in Anoka, Minnesota. He goes through everything he did to my boat and why he did it. Okay, it's super informative. Taylor is a perfectionist. He's a multi-species angler. He's passionate about fishing and he's passionate about boat rigging. His crew is the same way. They're all fishermen. So you're getting your boat rigged by guys that give a damn and know what the hell they're doing. So I did a video with Taylor, and he goes through everything, the graphs, the trolling motor, Brew City forward-facing sonar pole that he put on there. He's just a wealth of information, and it's all distilled in this video. You're going to love it. That's this Friday, July 18th at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, getting my Targa tricked out at Spraungel Performance Marine in Anoka, Minnesota. So check that out. Again, to find us, Angling Uploaded, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, even Rumble, okay, Instagram, Another Fishing Podcast. Just go to, any of the podcasting apps, search Another Fishing Podcast, and you'll find us. So that wraps up episode 59. We're nearly to 60. We are making some real inroads here. Thanks for joining me, and we will see you on the next one.